It's often said that we are the land of the free because of the brave.
And tonight, Fox 25's Phil Cross shows us a veteran's journey that honored his past and the surprise visit that reflected his contributions to the future. It's a story you'll see only on Fox.
USA! USA!
It was a hero's welcome for the veterans and their guardians as they arrived in Washington, D.C. A trip to see the monuments to service and sacrifice in our nation's capital. From the World War II Memorial in the shadow of the Washington Monument to the gaze of Lincoln that looks across the National Mall's reflecting pool. The memorials to those who fought and died for their country are somber reminders of past sacrifices. But on this day, they are the backdrop for an even more momentous meeting.
I grew up in McLeod, Oklahoma, and I was a Boy Scout in Troop 477. I moved out to D.C. in 2001.
There's a reason Jess Speaker III is fully outfitted in his scouting uniform.
I couldn't sleep last night, and as I've thought about it this morning, it kind of got me choked up because I know how much he has impacted my life.
He's been waiting outside the Lincoln Memorial to say thanks.
I didn't recognize you.
Speaker is waiting for Billy Given.
This boy here was that tall when he was in my scout troop 100 years ago.
Yep.
Look at him now.
Given fought in Vietnam, but his life of service continued when he came home to McLeod and became a local Boy Scout master.
You can't ask for anything better, and this is wonderful here. Wonderful.
It has been a day of thanks for all the veterans. Many, like Givens, never received a warm welcome after war. Today hopes to make up for that with thank yous throughout the day. At every stop, strangers let the veterans know their service mattered and their sacrifice provided what we enjoy today.
That was a surprise too, it really was. The people were tremendous. I just wished it had happened years ago when I came back from Vietnam.
As Lincoln once so famously said, history will little note nor long remember what was said here. But on this day, it is actions that are speaking so much louder. From the thanks of a nation to the thanks of a former Boy Scout who's now leading his own pack and passing on the lessons of service and sacrifice while joining all those showing the men that history nearly forgot the gratitude they so richly deserve. From our nation's capital, Phil Cross, Fox 25 News.
They are called the greatest generation, and for good reason. They are the generation that went to war to defend the country and the world against the Axis powers.
One Oklahoman had a front row seat to history being made. Fox 25's Phil Cross shares his story of sacrifice and survival and the trip of a lifetime to see the memorials in memory of the men and women who fought to save the world.
They say I'm the oldest, but I'm not. I'm 93, and I know this one more 94.
Age is only a number to Morris Day. But at his age, and with the life he's lived, it's easy to understand the reason for his smile today. For you to understand it, we need to go back. Back to December 1944.
I was in the 78th Infantry Division. I'm a combat medic.
Morris Day was a young man when he landed in Europe months after D-Day.
We took care of the wounded as soon as they got wounded on the front line. That was our responsibility to take care of them.
3 days after his arrival,
in one day, the enemy smashed through the defenses of the American First Army on a 45-mile front.
the Germans' last major offensive began.
Out of 165 men, 3 days later, there's 26 left.
Morris was one of the 26 who survived from his original unit.
I spent 120 days on the front line of combat and got wounded the 13th day of April, 3 days before my unit pulled out of the combat.
He went on to serve with General George S. Patton.
Patton, you know, he didn't care much for the infantry, I don't think, because what they did, he always wanted to go fast, 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 and get there before everybody else and get the job done.
For decades, Morris kept these stories to himself, memories of war too difficult to share. He even hesitated to go on the honor flight to see the nation's capital and the monuments in honor of his and so many others' service. But after finally sharing his war experience with his family, he was ready to tackle the trip of a lifetime with two goals in mind. First, to see Arlington National Cemetery. And with his grandson as his guardian, Morris was first in line to see the changing of the guard at the tomb of the unknown soldier. Stop by stop, memorial by memorial, Morris takes it all in until finally it is his stop, the World War II Memorial, a place to remember, a place to reflect on the greatest generation that served and sacrificed.
I went through all the way to the 13th day of April till I was wounded. So I pretty well saw Germany one of these days.
These days, Morris is sharing his stories so that those he loves will remember he fought for their future, and along with so many others, paid the price for freedom. In our nation's capital, Phil Cross, Fox 25 News.
We've been sharing the stories of veterans who took part in the inaugural Oklahoma Warriors Honor Flight.
And while it is the veterans who are the honored guests, Fox 25's Phil Cross tells us how even those serving say the whole experience leaves a lasting impact on them as well. This is a story you'll see only on Fox.
On the steps leading to the tomb of the unknown soldier, these former soldiers are not just paying their respects to the generations of warriors that preceded them, but they're receiving the respects of all those they pass. They come from different branches of service during different wars, but they all share a common bond, like Ed Palomares. He joined the military when he was just 17, living in Hawaii.
I just decided, it was time for me to do something that was good, not running around on the street and so forth, so I joined the service.
Palomares served in Korea and Vietnam. One of his first stops in D.C. is to visit the grave of Audie Murphy, America's most decorated World War II combat veteran, who went on to be a hero of the silver screen. Each stop is special for its own reasons. For Michael Jones,
left there in August of '73.
The Air Force Memorial brings back memories of Vietnam and working to make sure planes stayed in the air.
Sometimes have over 100 airplanes on frequency going up north.
For others, it isn't just the memorials, it's the experience.
I've been to all these places before as more of a spectator. Now I feel coming with the group, I feel more a participant.
Jerry McNichol served in the Navy during Vietnam. He was assigned to SubPac, or the submarine force of the U.S. Pacific Fleet.
I served on the USS Perry out of San Diego, and then went to school at Great Lakes, and then was transferred to Pearl Harbor, and I worked on submarines, just about every submarine in the Pacific Ocean at one time or another.
On any honor flight, each veteran has a guardian, someone to help out throughout the day. Some guardians are family, other guardians become family. Jerry McNichol's guardian is Fox 25's Jeff George, but it doesn't take long for either of these men to realize they weren't paired by accident. You see, Jeff's dad was also a Navy man who served during Vietnam. Jeff's dad died a little over a year ago, but on this day, with a fellow sailor, he felt a little bit closer.
I know he was here with me today. You can feel it, and when you're at these memorials, it's spiritual. You get that feeling you're a small part of something really big and really amazing.
Jerry took what he learned in the Navy and turned it into a lifelong career.
I think it'll surprise you. A lot of people have come out of the service knowing what you're going to do for a living and probably changed their whole life.
Jeff, too, went from a military meteorologist to serving civilians as Fox 25's chief meteorologist. He's now back in the National Guard, continuing his weather work for Oklahoma's Guard pilots. Jeff is just one of the dozens of volunteers making the day a once-in-a-lifetime experience for these veterans. Many of the men and women on this trip never received a welcome home after their service. Flight leader Wayne Perigo knows that all too well.
It's a passion. My dad was a Vietnam veteran, and he actually was going on the first flight as me as the director, and he passed away 10 days before the flight.
Perigo says the trip to D.C. provides more than just a simple thank you for their service.
Getting to see the smiles, getting to see the guys at the Vietnam Wall. You know, a lot of them will go and they'll come and they'll cry, and you know, and they get closure. They get closure on stuff.
The final leg of the trip is the way home, where mail call happens. Packages of thank you notes, some from family, some from school children, like the little boy who included superhero Band-Aids for the men he calls his heroes. But there's still one final surprise. A welcome home.
Got a handshake that said welcome home, and on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you.
Perhaps the words do exist to describe this experience, but those words will have to wait, because the heroes are home. Phil Cross, Fox 25 News.